Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today I want to study two verses from Surah Al-Baqarah concerning the creation of man. This is good practice for Arabic, but also this pertains to the fundamental reason, the telos, we might say, of human creation. This small section here, from around verse 29 onwards, regarding the discourse for the creation of man, is one of the most fundamental passages in the entire Quran. Over here, we have the answer to one of the most fundamental questions. I just made a video previously about the meaning of suffering, the question of suffering, because this idea that the pain we feel, the misery, the disappointment, the heartbreak we have in life, the injustice we see in the world, like what we see at the moment in Palestine, the sheer injustice, the suffering, the oppression, all of that comes to a head. And we ask this fundamental question: why? Why is this happening? And how can this happen? Especially because we believe in God as the one monarch, the one king who rules the entire cosmos. And in despair and confusion, sometimes we simply just don't get it. We don't understand. In light of that, let's read just two verses here. من سورة البقرة بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء فسواهن سبع سماوات وهو بكل شيء عليم. I've translated it here. God is He who hath created the earth and all the things thereof unto your ends. For us, God hath created the world. Then He established Himself unto heaven, إلى السماء, and fashioned He 7 heavens, and He hath knowledge of all things. Bismillah. The earth which God created, the true earth, is not this earth which we inhabit, but it is the spiritual earth, the earth not of matter, but the earth of spirit itself. As it is said, كان الله ولم يكن شيء غيره. In the beginning was God, and there was nothing but God. وكان عرشه على الماء, and his throne was upon the waters of the deep. In the very beginning, before the creation of all things, before the creation of this spirit of this physical earth and this physical sky, there was the spiritual earth, the foundation stone of all things. That is God's earth. That shall be the earth on the day of Qiyamah, when God inherits the command and inherits the earth. Then it shall be remade. There's a verse in the Quran which is eluding me, but the idea that on that day, the singularity of time, the earth shall be changed into a new earth and the sky into a new sky. That is, the physical shall become spiritual. That was in the beginning. He laid down the foundations of existence. His throne was upon the waters of the deep. And he established himself. إلى السماء. Now, frequently, people have interpreted this to mean that God then went up to the sky, to heaven. Of course, there's numerous problems with that. First and foremost, God is not in a place. And he does not move, of course. So what does it mean to say that God is unto the sky, in the direction of the sky? Of course, one meaning is that God is above, not in a physical sense, though there's a physical meaning to the highness of God, that we do turn ourselves upwards unto the divine, even though we know that God is not bound by space. But because God is above all existence spiritually, he is transcendent above all things. So the meaning of aboveness, the meaning of highness is his. And that's the meaning here, which is true. But I think that is in the very name of God, he is high. In his very name, he is high. In fact, the word for name in Arabic, ism, is related to the word samu. Actually, this very word sama. Ism and sama are related. The name, the word of God, in its very essence is high, because the name of a thing is above the thing. In our worldview, names are not symbols for things. The name is not some symbol you give to a thing. The name came before the thing. Not in this video shall we speak about it, but we have this famous passage about the names which God taught Adam, and therefore all of us. The name of God is high. This particle, ila, has a meaning of coming to end somewhere. The idea of a limit. Like, ataytu ila, I came, ana ataytu ila someplace. That my coming ended at this place. I think that is the meaning here. Istawa has a meaning of becoming established. It is the middle voice, if you remember, the middle voice. That the presence of God begins with the spiritual earth and stretches out all the way unto the extremity of existence, embraces all things. I think it's the other way around. It begins with the spiritual earth, and then God creates the sky. Because here we have the word thumma. So this is a very good application of the Arabic language. Once we get a bit more advanced, we can engage in this deep discussion, because there's a difference between waw and thumma. Thumma means after a period of time, or after some interval. It doesn't mean straight away that this has come to an end. خَلَقَ لَكُم مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. ثُمَّ then استوى إلى السماء. So the establishment unto heaven comes after the establishment of the earth. The spiritual earth is not this low earth we are established upon at the moment, but this spiritual earth, it's reflected, because the spiritual world is a reflection of the physical world. In this physical world, the earth is all the way at the bottom. The earth is down here, and on top of the earth, we have 7 heavens. But then there is the spiritual world, which is the image of this. So if this physical earth is at the bottom, in the spiritual earth, in the spiritual world, the spiritual earth is at the top. It begins with the spiritual earth. And God creates the spiritual heavens from the spiritual earth. And then he creates the physical world in the image of this. He establishes his presence, therefore, from the spiritual world all the way unto heaven and our sky. The question is, what about this earth? What about this earth that we are placed on here? Is God not present here? This earth is the image of God's earth, because we are created in the image of God. God established in heaven. That this heaven is the spiritual earth. That's the connection here. What we think is the sky, spiritually is the earth. And what we here experience as the earth is spiritually the sky. As we go up unto heaven, angels come down unto earth. But for angels, for these angelic presences and beings, they ascend. From them it is an ascension from the spiritual earth to the spiritual heaven, We are in the spiritual heaven according to them. At least we can be. Not necessarily are we below things. What's the verse from Surah At-Teen? والطين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. لقد خلقنا, we created الإنسان, mankind, في أحسن تقويم, in the most beautiful, upright posture, structure, constitution. We are upright in our fundamental nature, high, lofty, noble. That is how God has created us. Thumma, again, the same thumma. Then, after this initial spiritual creation, radadnahu, we sent him back down, ila asfalis safilin, to the lowest of the low. For the human being was taken from the lowest physical earth, from teen, from soil, from clay, and then made into the most noble spiritual state. For we contain and combine these, both the physical and the spiritual. So we can be low or we can be high, according to whether we are ourselves spiritual and lofty or physical and base. Not to say the physical is evil, but no, the physical devoid of the spiritual, that's evil. To be absent of the spirit, that's evil. But to be physical and filled with the spirit is even greater than to be a spirit. It is better and more nobler to be an embodied spirit than to be a pure spirit. For that reason, the human being who has realized his spiritual perfection is greater than an angel, because he is angelic. The ruh, the spirit, is angelic. It's from the world of the angels. But plus, it voluntarily submits to be embodied. The most difficult thing for the spirit is to be embodied. The spirit by its nature is unbounded, infinite, unlimited. To accept the body is to be infinite and to take this imprisonment. Imagine you had to give away everything now and accept imprisonment in a tiny, let's say 1 meter by 1 meter cage. Cold, lonely, deprived of food, water, sleep. How miserable would you be? How miserable. Not just because that is miserable, but because you knew existence. It's because you were able to walk, to eat, to drink, to socialize, to have company, to be happy. All of that is taken away from you. That's what the Spirit did. That's what we did. We had even more than this. We had the company of God, and we chose to be imprisoned in a tiny body, a body which brings pain, a body which brings misery, a body which brings anguish. We chose that, voluntarily accepted that to please God. هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. The earth was established, put down, created, made a foundation for this vast song and dance of a life which we see before us. The birds in the sky, the fish in the deep of the ocean, the insects which burrow in the soil of the ground, the nations of all these animals, the beauty of all life on earth. All this was put together, fashioned, the handiwork of God perfected, lakum, for us. For us. This alone should bring joy. This, just this, 1, 2, 3, 4 words. هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا, everything. لكم, for us. How are we not filled with ecstasy at this word? How are we not filled with joy and happiness, knowing that we are the center point of the cosmos? Being the purpose of creation is not because we are superior, it's not for us to be arrogant, because we are at the center of creation. Everything has a center. The body has a center, which is the heart. The body exists for the heart. And also the heart exists for the body. That thing which is in the center is not the thing which glorifies in the rest of the body. The heart is that part of the body which works the hardest. So the center is the most important. Without the heart, there is nothing. The heart serves the body. That's us. The center of the world, so to serve the world, to be the beating heart. And we're going to see, well, what's the meaning of this? God created this earth in the image of his earth. He established himself unto heaven. He chose to establish himself unto heaven now. He hath knowledge of all things. بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٍ. The ilm of God comprehends all things. وَسِعَةَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ رَحْمَةٍ وَعِلْمًا. God hath comprehended all things in his knowledge, his infinite knowledge and infinite love. That's heaven. That is God in heaven. And now we see, وَإِذْ, and when, قَالَ رَبُّكَ, thy Lord spake, لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ, unto the angels, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Behold, I shall make on the earth a Khalifa. What is a Khalifa? Khalafa means to come after something. Khalafahu. Khalafan. To succeed something. To inherit something. Like a son, يخلف أباه. A son comes after his father, inherits the mantlehood of his father, and does the work of his father. He inherits his father's property, his household, his estate, his duties and responsibilities. And he does that work. God established himself in heaven. That is the divine home. He left this physical earth at the bottom of everything. Why? Yes, there's a meaning. God shall inherit this earth. This comes in another part of the Quran, but ultimately this shall return to God. But for now he has left it. For now he's left this earth. And instead of him himself ruling the earth and meting out justice, for his rule is perfect. Heaven is perfect. Look up above us. The sky is perfect. Pure mathematical harmony and symmetry and beauty. Look at the stars. Look at the universe. Look at the galaxies, the constellations. Look at the profound beauty which brings joy to the heart, which brings tears to the eye, to marvel in the wonder of what is. You know, pictures which come out of the Hubble Space Telescope and now the James Webb Telescope, it's almost too good to be true. It's as if we cannot even believe that this is real, but it is real. That's the rulership of God, God in heaven. Now, this earth has been left because God has left it to the human being to rule in his image. As I said, there's our earth, our heaven, which is in the image of God's heaven and God's earth. God rules the spiritual world. He's left this physical world to us, the dunya. Dunya means that which is lower, this lower physical plane of existence. And before we say something, this is amazing, before we say anything, before we even have a chance to say, you know, to God, well, why have you done this? Why have you withdrawn your power? Why haven't you been just in this world? Before we have a chance to say anything, the question is anticipated and asked by the angels. قالوا, the angels say, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا, wilt thou put thereon? Man yufsidu fiha, him who shall work corruption in the earth, not justice, not constitution. La yuslih yufsid, fasad, may yufsidu. Why are you going to put on the earth this being, this human being who's going to work corruption? Not only is he not going to fail to preserve the earth, he's going to ruin it. What yasfikud dima, and he's going to cause bloodshed. Dima is the plural of dam. Dam means blood. Dima is lots of blood, plural. Not just shedding blood, pouring forth blood. Bloodshed, he's going to work violence, corruption, global warming, pollution, the destruction, the sacrilege of the natural environment. Some of the most depressing statistics we hear, I think something like 90% of the Great Barrier Reef has become bleached. One of God's wonders in the earth, we have destroyed most of it. How many species have we destroyed? What have we done to this earth? Yufsidu fiha. God's perfect creation is being corrupted by this human being. And yasfikud dima, he causes bloodshed, not just bloodshed to his own kind. He kills animals unjustly. He genocides species of animals. He kills his own brother. He kills his family. He genocides his own species. He tortures, he kills, he massacres, he murders, he oppresses. وَنَحْنُ نُصَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ, while we perform the consummate reason of creation, which is to worship and glorify God, to marvel in the wonder and perfection of the Godhead. نُصَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ, nusabbih, continuously we give forth, we hymn thy praise. وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ, and hallow thy name, and declare thy holy, august transcendence. All these questions that we have, why? The despair in our heart that we have is here. Before we don't even have to ask the question. God's asked it for us. And he's answered it for us. قَالَ, he said, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, I know that which ye know not. There's a mystery to the human being. And the entire Quran is spelling out this mystery. Yes, we do all these things. Because us in our physical, animal, brutish nature, we do that. But we don't have to. We can be something more. Not all of us will. Most of us probably will not be. But some of us will be. Khulafa, khalīfa, inheriting the command of God. Being godly. Being godly in the sense of being like God. God is just, so we are just. God is loving, we are loving. God is beautiful, we are beautiful. God is noble, we are noble. We are godly on this earth. And so we rule this physical earth in our flesh as God in heaven rules the spiritual earth. We rule in the image of God. We become the image of God on earth. That's the meaning of this khilafah. And the angels are asking, how on earth is that going to be the case? That we aren't even worthy to be angels, let alone having the greatest responsibility in all of creation, to be like God and rule in the image of God. But there's a mystery which even the angels do not know, even we do not know, but is known in only the sanctity of the hallowed essence of the divine, because that is the secret of the ruh, the spirit. The ruh is from God, not from us. It is the breath of God breathed into us. The breath of God lives in us. That is the source of our life. And if we connect to that spiritual source, we can become God's representatives on earth. Those were the prophets, the example set before us. It's possible. Even if not many people can do it, some people will. the Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet Jesus, Abraham, Noah, Solomon, David, all the prophets of God performed this function, even if they were ridiculed and scorned and tortured. Despite that, rather because of that, because of love, they fulfilled this work. And in the end, the command will come back. It's only temporary because the entire universe, the physical universe, is temporary, not eternal. Only the spirit is eternal. This will all come to an end. Sooner or later, this will all come to an end. Yes, all this oppression, however long it seems to last, it's finite, it will die out. And in the end, it will return where it started. But we are here. And we can talk about where we're going, but it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. If this is all we knew, we don't know anything about heaven or hell. This is all we knew. As far as I see it, it doesn't even make a difference. We have an opportunity in this tiny, 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 short life on earth to be godly. We have an opportunity to not work corruption, to not cause bloodshed, to not cause misery. We have an opportunity to be just, even if injustice is meted out to us, to not stoop to the cycle of violence, to be just, to not oppress. Even if we are oppressed, to not become oppressors in retaliation. If this is all we knew, if these were the only two verses of the Quran, still how much wisdom can we bring forth? The purpose of life is set out here. We are called to be godly on earth. We are called to be in the image of the divine. That is our calling. That is our purpose. And if we fulfill that, our salvation, redemption, and happiness